Hi, Niko and Jean here. Today we're going to talk about something that is of a lot of interest to many of you who feel like you have something in you, some burning desire that you have to share with the world, something that you want to accomplish, gifts and talents that you want to share. In some way, you want to contribute, and you also want to be successful at that, meaning you want that thing to make you prosperous. And this thing that you've been trying to pull off, whatever it is for you, you've been trying, but you keep hitting the glass ceiling. You keep failing. You keep getting stopped. You sabotage yourself. Stuff comes up. You procrastinate. All kinds of crises happen and stop you from this occurring in your life. Stop you from moving forward. And I want to tell you that I think I've discovered the reason, and I'm going to say there's a lot of reasons that can lead to a main reason, but I think there's really this main reason, like the big root at the bottom of the tree, that this happens when you have experienced narcissistic abuse, when you've got trauma that comes from narcissistic abuse in your past or in your present. And here's the thing. Let me backtrack a little and just say that the reason why you get into this pattern is because when you've been in narcissistically abusive relationships, you have learned that sharing authentically, just freely letting your thoughts and your feelings flow is not safe, because you've been trained by a narcissist to respond a certain way that makes them feel good, or so that they can be in control of you. And this can be on a spectrum. I mean, this can be anywhere from, like, really high on the spectrum would be like you are afraid to speak up because you feel like you're in physical danger. Maybe a person might threaten to actually physically harm you, beat you, or attack you. I mean, that you can feel physically threatened. That's really high on the spectrum. Now, I'm not saying that emotional abuse is not also high on the spectrum, but I'm just saying on the spectrum of like how much you might be monitoring your responses and your interactions with this person. There's also just the emotional danger of being verbally attacked, being verbally assaulted. That's also high on the spectrum, depending on the severity of it and how often it may happen. So you have learned to be very careful about what you say, and you've also learned that sometimes it doesn't matter what you say, you're still going to get attacked. Sometimes it can happen, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, but you never know when it's going to happen. And so you are really careful. You're really monitoring yourself. So you're holding back. You're always holding back every time you're around this person. And actually, then it ends up happening all the time, even when you're not around the person, because it becomes a pattern. It feels terrible. You guys, it's awful. It's an awful way of being. And like I said, even like if you want to call it low spectrum, there just might be difficulty that could come up. Maybe it's just that if you respond just the way you naturally would, maybe this person it could be frustrating. The behavior could be frustrating. It could just be like a mild version. Either way, it doesn't matter whether it's low or high on the spectrum as far as what kind of response you're afraid of. It still patterns you into holding back, into being afraid to really share. And so you sort of end up like writing a script, so to say. So you write a script for yourself for how you interact with this person, almost like you're playing a character. And so you just know, okay, I gotta play the character. I gotta read the script. If I go off script, if I ad lib, if I do that, it's dangerous. So you don't. But is that the way we naturally are? No, that's so unnatural. That's such an unnatural way of being. It's a suppression. It's a suppression of your being. Okay. That's control. You guys, this is how one of the ways narcissists will control us is through having us modify our own behavior so that we can make them feel comfortable. We suppress ourselves. Oh my God. And then if you've been doing it for a long time, you don't even know you're doing it. So then what happens is you get into your life, right? And you're functional, like you're trucking along. Maybe you have your own business. Maybe you've got a career. Maybe you're just in your community, you're at your church, or you're trying to accomplish something in one of these areas of your life. And then you keep hitting a wall. You keep hitting a wall. Every time you try to express something through yourself, you try to give, to share, to create something beneficial. It is something beneficial for the world. It's something you really want to do. And then bam, you get stopped. You get derailed. You get sidetracked. And it's so frustrating and it's painful. It's actually painful to not be able to do this. Whether you realize it or not, you're feeling the pain. Maybe you realize it, and if right now you're like, oh yeah, it's painful. You know what I'm talking about. It's like the pain of not doing it is almost more painful than like holding back and staying safe. And when you're at that point, you pretty much hit bottom. That's the time you can bounce off and go up. So here's the thing, I'm coming all the way back around to what I said at the beginning, is this is the reason, this is the root, is that if you believe this, which I do, is that there's a way energy moves. It's circular energy. Okay, energy. If you think about it, the way you measure success, if you're thinking, say, of money, if you're thinking of income as like, oh, okay, I'm making income doing this, so it's successful. Or a project is sustaining itself, it's successful. So what you're saying is that success is measured by the resources that are coming in that are making it possible. And most people are probably thinking about if they have their own business or something that, well, I want to accomplish this thing, but I need to be able to make money doing it so I can sustain myself, so I can keep doing it, right? That makes sense, right? So there's a circulation that happens. And the way this works is that energy has to move in and out. It has to be like the tide of the ocean. It flows out, it flows back in, but you can't stop the tide from going back out. You can't grab the tide when it comes in and hold it and say, I'm scared I won't ever get the tide again, so I'm going to hold on to it. It's impossible. And this is how money works, right? If you hold on to money so tightly and you don't let it move back out of your system, it's going to be stagnant and it's going to cause lack in your life, just like in your body. If blood isn't flowing and it's not moving in all the spaces it's supposed to move, and it moves in and then it moves back to the heart, and it gets oxygenated, so it has to circulate, right? But you can't hold the blood in one place and hope that, oh, I'm so afraid that I won't ever have this blood again. I'm so afraid, so I'm going to hold it in this one place. Well, that would cause a problem in your body, right? It has to circulate. So it's like this when you get into this space where you want to succeed at something and you're thinking about sharing, okay? And you have to put energy into it. So let's use this business as an example, a business idea. So let's just say you have a business and you've got a product or a service that you want to share with the world, and then you've got to take actions and you've got to do things to make it happen so money can flow to you. So you put out your product or service and then money flows back to you, right? It's a circle. But what's happening is there's a pattern in you that you're not aware of that is stopping you from letting that energy move out and back in, because you have learned that it's not safe to freely share your energy. You have learned that you have to suppress and monitor your free sharing of energy, of yourself, of your expression. So you're subconsciously holding back. It's like a hose, like a hose you use in your yard, like a yard hose, okay? Let's just say that you've got the sprayer and you're trying to spray your flower bed, and like you're spraying and it's like, it's not coming out, and you're like, what's going on? And you don't realize that around the corner of the house, the hose has got a kink in it. So you're mad at the sprayer. The sprayer's not working, or you're mad because the water's not coming out. But it's because there's a kink in the hose and you just don't realize it. All you have to do is go and unkink it, right? And sometimes you have to really work to make that happen. And I'm always struggling with my hose on the side of my house. I'm thinking about buying one of those hoses that's like all soft and it doesn't get kinked. Anyway, it's a good idea. So you unkink it and then it works again. Then the flow is coming out, right? It's flowing again. So you guys, it's not that hard. It's simple. It's just like the hose, okay? Your pathway, your flow has got a little kink in it. And it's a pattern you have for a long time because you have been holding onto your hose and kinking it because you're afraid. Oh, I'm scared. I don't know if I can let that flow out. You're worried that if I just let this energy move naturally the way it normally would, something bad could happen to me, because it did. It's a pattern. That's all it is. And you know, when you're in a narcissistic relationship with someone, you're walking on eggshells, and you're always like, ooh, I don't know what to do next. I don't know which way to turn. You know, it's very frustrating to your energy system. So what happens is you tend to just shut down when you're around them. Just shut down, right? And not give at all. And this is something that's called gray rocking. And I don't know if you've heard about gray rocking. It is a technique. It's a way of protecting your energy around narcissists. And I'm not going to say don't do it, because it does have a level of effectiveness. But the problem is that you're shutting it down all the time. You can't just shut down a little and then be fine all the other times. What happens is you start shutting down your being all the time. You stop the flow, and then it stops your flow. And then you can't let other things flow through. You can't let joy flow through. So my recommendation is, instead of shutting down, instead of suppressing, instead of monitoring constantly, have some freaking boundaries and put boundaries in place with that relationship, or go no contact with that relationship, or modify your contact. Remove yourself from that dynamic, okay? Remove yourself from that dynamic. And then start doing your work in yourself. Start unkinking your hose, okay? Look at the ways you're stopping the flow of energy. Take a look at all the ways that you are procrastinating, that you're afraid to give, that you're afraid to share, you know, and just start doing some daily self-reflection and self-care. Use tapping, use meditation, and get the energy flowing. That energy's stuck and it needs to flow, okay? So to just wrap this up, I'm going to go back to the beginning and say, what's happening to you is that you are unconsciously or subconsciously stopping the flow of energy from coming from you and out into the world, and that's why it's not coming back to you, or it's barely trickling back to you, or it comes and then it stops. Again, take a look at your pattern of being afraid to freely share and let energy freely flow, and you're going to see the connection. I hope this was helpful for you today. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please hit the button and the notifications. You got to hit them both so that you get the notifications. I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.